Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is March the 20th. It's a Friday today. End up having a super solid trade towards the downside on Tesla. Higher time frame breakout. We end up having our order block plus our pre-market low retest towards the downside. In my opinion, this was textbook. Obviously, the market hasn't had too much continuation, but finally breaking outside the range on the Qs. And we finally had some nice continuation, specifically on Tesla with that higher time frame breakout as well. So let's hop right into my trading statistics for this month. Haven't done an update in a while. I think the last time was last week. I did go away for the past. Sorry, I went away last week. I went over to Texas for a meetup for Traders Lab, which was super exciting. This week, kind of came back home feeling a little bit under the weather still. So haven't been trading the greatest, plus the market conditions have been so, right? Not too much continuation, of course. But finally, today we had some nice continuation towards the downside. So for my statistics this month, as you can see, up $32,000, 50% trade win percentage, profit factor 2.44, daily win percentage 58%, average win to loss ratio of 2.44. Mainly, my P&L this month has been made up of primarily two trades. The one Tesla trade that we had last week on Wednesday, of course, the Tesla trade this week towards the downside. So these two trades in itself have made up majority or almost all of my P&L this month. Besides that, as I mentioned, it's been fairly tricky, a lot more reversals, mean reversions. Without these two trades, I would have been closer to kind of break even on the month. But we've had some nice continuations. I've stayed patient, waited for my setups to come to me, and we've been able to nail kind of the couple opportunities that we've had. So there hasn't been too much opportunity at all whatsoever, but the opportunities that we've had, right, we've kind of nailed the setups towards the downside, which is really nice to see. So these are my statistics. Hopefully we will see some more continuation as well towards the downside or the upside, hopefully towards the downside so we can kind of trade it back higher. But with that being said, let's go on to the trade I ended up taking today, which was on Tesla. And I'm making $14,000 on this one. As you can see, these are my executions. I'll go into the live session here in a bit as well. End up taking the 375 puts towards the downside. Actually end up adding more into my position, but I'll kind of talk about the overall thought process here. So for Tesla, let's first kind of go on to the pre-market game plan. So as you can see, this is the pre-market game plan here on Tesla for March the 20th. What we have here is, right, we kind of have quad witching, so that is something to be mindful of. Major asset classes expire all day. Another drop in the pre-market once again towards your previous day lows. Currently, we're bouncing off that level. What I would like to see coming to market open is the reaction that we have off previous day close and the previous day lows. We do have a small gap that's most likely going to fill before doing anything else. As for my main watches, keep an eye out on Tesla off our previous day lows. The main thesis here on Tesla is what I posted yesterday was the break underneath this key level of support. If we can break underneath this 380, what we can see is a push down in towards our 360 here on the higher time frames. So that's what I was looking for on Tesla, was a trade down in towards that 360, and it actually ended up playing out nicely here today. We're actually looking for that exact setup yesterday, which I ended up taking a loss on, but today we end up finally nailing that setup towards the downside. So, but really, if I go on to the higher time frames, you can see once we broke underneath that 380, nice continuation towards the downside, back down in towards that 370 and below. So this was the exact higher time frame thesis that we're looking for, right? We had a lot of consolidation as of late. Now we're breaking underneath. Let's see if we can get that push lower. For the Qs, similar thing. Consolidation, we're finally breaking outside that range. So now let's see if we can get that continued push towards the downside. So with that being said, what is the trade I end up taking on Tesla today? As you can see, coming into market open, we're looking for really the break underneath this 380, right? 380 was one of the key levels that we had coming into market open. Within the first few minutes, or actually within the first 2 minutes, Tesla big drop underneath that 380, underneath our previous day lows here as well. So what I was looking for was our previous day low retest. But with this big drop coming into market open, we're either going to still wait for that previous day low retest, which is now a little bit farther away, or the break underneath our pre-market lows for a continuation towards the downside here as well. So as you can see, price came up, had an immediate retest off our pre-market lows, continued towards the downside. I wasn't able to get in. I kind of outlined this trade, but happened too quick. But I was waiting for that order block now plus your pre-market low. Price tapped in towards our down close candle. So I ended up taking an entry on this candle right here, which was at 936. Stop just to break above, looking for continuation towards the downside. As I mentioned, I was trading 0-day contracts. So as price was kind of consolidating here, I was actually in a little bit of a drawdown, down about like 60, 70 cents a contract, but never broke above my stop loss. Seller stepped in. Once it broke underneath that previous candle low, I actually added more into my position. Risk, similar thing as before. Average in this case was just above 3 on the 375 puts. And as you can see, nice push towards the downside, kind of just scaling along the ways. And then the next key target that I had was all the way down in towards that 370, right? Up close candle held, sold majority of my position, and then I ended up holding a couple of trailers. Eventually cut it once it broke back above my key level. But that was the trade I ended up taking on Tesla today. Absolutely fantastic trade towards the downside. As I mentioned, this market has been fairly difficult, right? A lot more mean reversions, a lot more reversals. We've only had a couple nice trades towards the downside, but hopefully the markets will start heating up here and we'll have some continuation with, of course, the SPY and Qs moving towards the downside. Now, with this being said, I'm just going to play out my live session. I'm going to cut it up a little bit. Now, with that being said, I'm just going to play out my So now with that being said, I'm just going to play out the live session and I will see you guys all next week. All right, take care, everyone. Peace. Okay, a couple names dropping right off the bat here. So Q's a little bit of rejection right off that 592. As I mentioned, Tesla now showing a little bit more weakness. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla underneath our previous day lows here. What I'll be looking for is the Tesla previous day low retest for continuation towards the downside. This one does have a decent amount of room, as I mentioned, in the pre-market. For Tesla, what we can be looking for here is the 375 puts on Tesla, the 375 puts. With this first initial strong push towards the downside here on Tesla, I'll be a little bit more patient. We can look for this kind of immediate retest here off our pre-market lows, but I'll most likely now just wait for some sort of pullback here. Of course, the previous day low retest would be the best, but that is kind of far away now, 378.72. We'll keep an eye out on Tesla here. It's right at a key level, which is our pre-market lows. As I mentioned, I'm interested in the 375 puts. Another possible scenario here is the reclaim. So if it breaks above this pre-market high, we can be looking for the reclaim back underneath this pre-market level. As I mentioned, the 375 puts here on Tesla. Okay, for Tesla, you had that immediate kind of retest there, kind of right off that pre-market lows. That would have been a fairly aggressive entry, kind of right off that 376. But so far, kind of rejecting off this pre-market level. I'm just going to be a little bit patient. But as I mentioned, this one does have a lot of room towards the downside. So for Tesla, the next key level that I do have is 373 and your previous, 370s here. All right, a little bit of bounce here on the SPY and Qs. Let's even get this retest here on Tesla. As I mentioned, this is your first technical pullback up into this 375. As I mentioned, I'll be looking at the 375 puts. We can get some weak price action here. I'll be interested in the 375 puts to take this back towards the downside here. Let's keep an eye out on Tesla. All right, so far a little bit of a bounce here on the Qs, kind of just off your previous day lows. Now let's see if there's any sort of sellers that step in here on Tesla. So this is my exact level here. Let's see if any sort of sellers step in, as I mentioned. Interested in the 375 puts, Friday's expirations. Okay, Tesla, I'm going to enter in some of the 375 puts here. My stop is going to be a break above this order block. Basically, it's going to be that order block plus that pre-market low retest. What I'd just like to see is Tesla maintain underneath your 375 for this continuation towards the downside. My stop is going to be a break above this 376 here. All right, Tesla coming up to my key stop loss here. If it does close above this, then I will cut the position here above this 376. Buying Qs kind of in between this range here. So far, sellers are still there on Tesla, but now we're going to have to get the reclaim back underneath this order block if we want to see some downside. As for SPY and Qs, it does look like it's going to head towards low of day here. All right, SPY and Qs, let's even get this low of day. Tesla, even interested in adding some more if we can get a strong candle close back underneath. Tesla, I ended up picking up some more of the 375s, average closer to 3 now on the 375 puts. What I'll be looking for here now is this. I'd like to see low of day plus continuation. So we got this nice flush here on the Qs and SPY. Now let's see if we can get this flush here on Tesla. Kind of rejected the exact top of this order block. Now let's see if we can hit low of day here, 373 and potentially below. First take profit's going to be down into this low of day 373 level. All right, taking my first scales here on Tesla down into this low of day plus this 373. I want to see some continuation here. Qs does have room down in towards our previous day lows here. Similar thing here with SPY. Let's see if we can get this next flush towards the downside. Tesla hitting your exact level there as well. And then Tesla, as is mentioned, does have room towards the downside here as well. So if SPY and Qs can reject off this basically 5-minute range low, Tesla does have room now down into that 370. We're in a pretty good spot here, right? Look at this 5-minute candle flip here as well. So let's see if we now get that continuation towards the downside. We should see SPY and Q's previous day lows here, right? That's your next level of support. As I mentioned, there's that flush on Tesla, big seller stepping in. This is your first take profit. If you didn't take profits here, this is your first take profit. So make sure to scale down into this 370. And now we can be looking for this 370.42 here. Plus SPY and Qs, we should see that previous day lows. So we should see this nice flush. Yep, there's that SPY and Qs rejection so far. Let's see if we can get that previous day low flush. Qs about to approach your previous day lows and your pre-market lows here. It's 587. Tesla, there's that nice rejection there as well with this with the Qs. As I mentioned, just scale along the ways. A brand new low of day here as well. All right, Q should get that push very close to our previous day lows here. So scale down into that. Tesla, beautiful. Look at that. Almost $5 a contract on those 375s. Yeah, that was your key level there on SPY. So there's your SPY previous day lows. No buyers stepping in actually so far, but this is a key level kind of SPY previous day lows. We very much well could kind of have this little bit of an upper wick, but so far no buyers are stepping in. Let's see if we can get this bigger continuation underneath on both SPY and the Qs here. Tesla, quickly go over this one, but 380s, daily chart, breaking underneath. Key level 360s all the way down into that, yeah, 360. You can see this daily breaking this base here. Yeah, at least for Tesla here now, a majority of my position. I'm just gonna hold some trailers just for these up close candles, SPY Qs. Kind of hit my main objectives, which is your previous day lows. No buyers stepping in so far, so we'll see if we can get that continuation. But at least for Tesla now, we'll just kind of mark out these up close candles, mark out that 90 MA, and just kind of trail our position towards the downside. As I mentioned, we do have some more room. Yep, there's that Q's rejection so far. Tesla right into a key level, 370.48. Yep, solid move. The exact levels here on Tesla is that one daily gap. We have your 370.21, and then we have your 368.99 here. Look at that Q's rejection that I talked about, kind of right off that previous day lows.